Hello, hello, guys. Dan and Travis here, talking about perps and how we ship perps on a Web3 schedule. My name's Dan Peng. I'm one of the core team members, co-founder, lead strategy and product, and I'm here with my good friend and co-founder, Travis Skweres.
Hey guys, Travis Skweres here, co-founder of Vela. I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about the Pyth integration and how we shipped Vela for our launch. So looking forward to dive in more. Take it away, Dan.
Awesome. So a little bit about Vela Exchange. We are a perps DEX that is live on Arbitrum and Base, really built from the ground up with a vision to drive self-custody trading, but with the best of class CeFi-like execution speed and tooling. When I say that, we don't just say it as words. If you go to our platform, you'll really see that our speed of execution, our tooling, our features really are top of class. If you find something that's missing from us, that's on a CEX, let us know. It's an Easter egg. It shouldn't exist. Our UX is blazing fast. It's streamlined. It's made to really support larger traders who want to execute quickly on large orders, as well as smaller traders who are really looking for things like social fi, smooth UX, and being able to track the portfolio. So lots of things to share. In terms of how we look at product, of course, the user interface is important. We do have some pretty cool things that go beyond that, though. For example, API endpoints that allow some bot integrations, other builders to stack on top. Our fees are very competitive in terms of liquidity and TVL. You know, we came out of beta with some of the highest ever USDC vaults. Our data streams are something that we have to have as a perps platform, right? So this is not just about us. It's like, how do you launch a perps platform to succeed? Data streams are like a life stream for these perps platforms, including us. And then in terms of trading execution, being able to be fast and accurate. So getting that information quickly to the trader, allowing them to take trades based on that information, and then actually executing according to what a user sees, either on the data side or the UI side. And the last thing is, perps and the trading ecosystem, the DEX ecosystem is incredibly fast moving. So being able to research, find out what's coming up, ride the wave or drive the wave is something that you have to do as a product team. And sometimes you're relying on infrastructure to help make that happen, which is one of the main things we'll discuss today with our partnership with Pyth. A little bit about our journey. We launched our beta in early 2023. It was super, super crazy, way beyond our expectations even. We had our mainnet launch on Arbitrum, which is our first chain in Q3 and in late June. And then we quickly navigated into a base mainnet launch afterwards, which has been super exciting for us. It's driven some new tech, some ways to incentivize our users. And we are looking forward to sharing more about Vela V2. So that's under wraps. We'll share a little bit of kind of where we're heading in the last slides, but we do want to cover kind of how we adopted Pyth net into our infrastructure and our product process first. A little bit about beta. So beta was a huge learning opportunity for us. We saw, our TVL jump up to like 55 mil at one point, which, like I mentioned, was one of the largest USDC vaults in DeFi. We were the fastest trading, growing trading exchange in the perp space in history. So if you saw our 0 to 1, it was really 0 to like 50, which is pretty insane from a product perspective. Now, like I said, it was a little bit of a learning experience, right? We thought we were prepped for scaling. We thought we were ready for mass adoption, but with a beta, you're often looking to challenge those assumptions. So we definitely felt some of the strain of building a enterprise-ready trading platform. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Travis to cover kind of how our journey developed across the technical side.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, as Dan mentioned, what I would tell the team is that our beta and 55,000 or so traders was the best possible audit and test we could have ever asked for, right? And so let me talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we incurred when you see that kind of traffic and that kind of activity. So I'll start with, there's lots of pieces to building a perp platform. So I'll start with the off-chain data, right? We talked about in one of the early slides how we have a fast, seamless user interface with lots of data being streamed to the client, right? And so if you're going to provide that kind of data, you have to have servers that integrate with several different data sources, right? So imagine before we were on Pyth, um, we had to build servers that tied into a lot of the CEXs you guys probably know, right? Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, and others. And then also pricing aggregators like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, right? And we had to write the logic to essentially pull all of this data from different sources into one place, um, stage it and normalize it, and then make sure that it's accurate and highly available for our clients to consume, right? And so we were working with our backend team to create these servers, create these connections to all these data sources. And then we had to worry about things like, for example, downtime, right? What if one of our data sources goes down? How does that affect the rest of the data? What if there are massive outliers, right? So for example, I can remember that one of our CEX data sources had a scam wick or a crazy wick that went way up on one of our assets. And we had to figure out how to deal with that and how to throw out outliers and average the price and so on and so forth. And so there's just a lot of difficulty that goes into building that infrastructure on the server side, right? And making sure that the data is accurate and available. And then in addition to that is the scaling piece, right? Dan mentioned, we had outages and things like that, right? And when you have all of these traders opening and closing positions, subscribing to WebSockets, hitting your API thousands of times per minute, right? Your servers can go down. And then what happens there? We had to think about things like horizontal scaling, think about things like if our server goes down, which block were we on? And when it restarts, how do we pick it back up? And so on and so forth. So all of this is to say that it was very, very difficult if you're trying to build um, off-chain data sources that are accurate and highly available for clients. It's a tough job, and we experienced this a lot during beta because we were trying to do it ourselves, right? Let me go to the on-chain issue before Pyth, right? So publishing and verifying our own prices on chain was quite a pain, right? One of the promises or the good things about decentralization is that you have different nodes running that can all agree that something is true and something happened. And the more nodes you have, or the more agreement you have, right, the more truthiness you have. But when we were doing it all ourselves, essentially we were taking all of this data that we had sourced and aggregated offline, and we were publishing it on chain to make it available to our clients, right? And that was expensive, right? We were publishing all of our own data, and every price update is gas cost for us. And in addition, if you think about supporting different assets, every time we wanted to add a new asset, not only did we have to update our backend servers that sourced that asset's prices, but then we also had to publish new data for a new asset on chain. And so that compounded our gas costs as well. And though beta was going really well in terms of volume and usage, we saw that our gas costs were just astronomical in terms of ETH being consumed on a daily basis. And every time we added a new asset, that problem would compound upon itself. And so, long story short, we were trying to do all of this ourselves. And we had inadequate decentralization, right? We were a single point of failure when it came to prices on chain. And then we were also just spending a lot of money. It was becoming prohibitively expensive. And so what were our learnings from our pre-Pyth days? Essentially, if you're going to build off-chain data sources, that is a business unto itself. When it comes to tying into the different data sources, sourcing the data, building the servers, maintaining and scaling the servers, off-chain data sources is a business unto itself. The same goes with on-chain oracles, right? Why would you ever try to build your own on-chain oracle when you have Pyth? We tried it, right? And making sure that contracts are updated, making sure that they're accurate, trying to bring down gas costs and things like that. It's very, very tough. It's a business unto itself. And you need these two pieces if you're going to have a successful DEX, right? You need the off-chain data sources, you need it to be highly available and fast, and you need the on-chain contracts with accurate pricing to execute trades. You need all of that to have a successful DEX. And so that leads us to tying into Pyth. You know, Dan and I sat back when we ended the beta and we said, how can we do this better, or who can we partner with that can help us achieve all of this, so that we can focus on the things that we do well, right? Building amazing trading experiences, blazing fast CEX-like trading experiences for our users. And we landed on Pyth, and I think it's one of our strongest partnerships to date. And I'll just go through a little bit about what that technical implementation looks like with Pyth. So from the get-go, one of the biggest, most amazing things that Pyth offers is, you know, off-chain data sources, both real-time and historical, that allow us to power the UI. So if you go to app.vela.exchange and you're trading on Vela, you will see up-to-date prices that are updating themselves in real time, you know, BTC, ETH, others, right? And then you'll also see historical data with different charting in trading views. So you can see, you know, 4-hour charts, 1-hour charts, 1-day charts, and so on and so forth. And all of that is powered by our integration with Pyth. So Pyth provides real-time WebSockets that will give you prices on any asset that they support, right? But then they also provide the historical data so that if you're creating trading strategies, if you're looking at Bollinger Bands and other things, indicators and things like that, Pyth under the hood is providing us with all of that data that we then stream to our users, right? And so that allows us not to have to worry about all of the server infrastructure that goes along with sourcing that data. They take care of where they get it from. They take care of the outliers and averaging out different prices and making that highly available. They take care of the scaling, right? And so we are no longer, as an engineering team at Vela, having to worry about those things when it comes to where we get our pricing data from, right? And then secondly, they provide the Oracle side. And so whereas before we were responsible and a single point of failure for all of the pricing data that we provided to our users to execute trades, now we can rely on Pyth oracles to verify all of those prices. And so as a consumer of the Pyth price feeds on chain, not only we, Vela, can update the price of a particular asset, but so can any other dApp that also needs to consume that price feed, right? And so we're not the only DEX out there that needs to know the price of Ether, right? And so we are distributing the workload and the gas costs that come with updating prices on chain. And so what we do is we have the off-chain pricing data from Pyth. And then we do have a middle layer of our own Vela contracts that we call the fast price feed. And so we publish our prices to the Vela fast price feed. But what the Vela contract does is it goes and verifies with Pyth that the price is accurate and not stale. And so if the price is either we feel inaccurate or too much of a deviation, or it's stale, we will call the Pyth price contract and update it for the entire community or the entire ecosystem, and then also use it for our pricing contract. And so what Pyth has allowed us to do is not only power our front end with all of the data we need that traders want, but then also power our contracts and ensure that every time you open or close a position, you have the most accurate price that you can get on chain using the Pyth Oracle. And the last thing I'll touch on is fast onboarding of different assets, right? So when we were pre-Pyth in beta, we had to find our own data sources and onboard our own assets. And as I mentioned, that compounded the cost of onboarding new assets and gas costs and so on and so forth. But now through our collaboration with Pyth, we can essentially work with them to say, hey, you know, our users are demanding this particular asset, or there's a lot of interest in this new token, right? And it's much easier for us to say, okay, as soon as it's added to the Pyth Oracle's platform, we can use it on Vela. And that's been a game changer for us. It takes us literally a couple of minutes to add an asset if we want to, right? And so for us, that's one of the biggest things with integrating with Pyth. is it's very simple to add, remove, swap out assets if they're supported on the network, and that's been great for us. So to close it out, because it's not just the technology, and I know I spent a lot of time and hopefully was clear on just all the benefits for integrating with Pyth from a technological standpoint. But working with the Pyth team and the engineers has been incredible, right? A lot of times, whether it's Web 2 or Web 3, when you rely on a platform, it can be hard to even get in touch with customer service, right? And a lot of companies even make it as difficult as possible for you to get support so they don't have to deal with it. And the experience for us has just been exactly the opposite. We have very close collaboration with Pyth, and they're open to feedback. We work together really, really well. And this is all to say that it has, number one, reduced our downtime, reduced a lot of the bad experiences that maybe traders had with beta and errors that we see in either the pricing oracles or the pricing servers. So it's just really, really improved the experience. But it's also really allowed our engineers and our resources to focus on the things we do best, right? If we are not spending all of our time worried about pricing sources, pricing updates, availability, and things like that of the data, then we can focus on the things we do well. And so our integration with Pyth has paid us back in spades in terms of not only the cost to operate Vela, but also the engineering mind share and where we focus our resources. So can't say enough about how amazing it's been, and I really appreciate you guys having us. I'm going to pass it back to Dan to close it out.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. Like T was mentioning, the amount of time that we used to spend just on price feeds, off-chain, on-chain resources, and fixing things, supporting different tickets was insanity for a small group of contributors like us. So that means our team is now freed up to really focus on customer experience. We're focusing on trading, TVL, all those things that matter so much to a Perps platform. And I can't say enough, just like Travis, like the collaboration with Pyth from the beginning until now has been amazing. And it's easy for teams in DeFi to get very drunk with success. When they grow, all of a sudden they forget, the contributors that have built the platform with them from the ground up. And that has been something that we have never experienced with Pyth. So I think that humble kind of nature between the teams has just made innovation that much easier for us to work on. And I'll give an example. Like recently, we were thinking about something to support the idea of incentives and raffles within the Vela platform. And immediately, an engineer jumped on some POC and threw a merge our way and was like, "Hey, check this out! Like, what do you think of this?" And like, I can't say there's many teams that have the passion for their own tech to be able to do that and work with their partners that closely. So we're always kind of pushing each other, making sure that we're building towards a better future. If we look at the difference between beta and now, um, man, beta was insane. We had 50,000 plus users. Now think about when there's a pricing update issue or some kind of bug, and the amount of people just saying, "Hey, what's going on?" That was incredibly stressful for a community team. And now we like see our ticketing rate like down substantially. I think it's way beyond 87% actually. It's been a change for community contributors. They're much more happy. The traders are happier. And you can look at the beta and just say, huge opportunity, huge event, but now mainnet is a grown-up enterprise-ready application with the thanks to Pyth. We've talked about some of this, the innovation that we've tested together. I think it's a lot about our working styles. Both the teams are super creative, super passionate. Any new idea that gets shared, we quickly validate between the teams and think through whether it makes sense. Is there a market for this type of product? Is there a way to scale it out? And those types of culture shares, it's important to drive the teams forward and have that as a constant reminder that both teams are going to build the best they can and they're here to support each other. And the last thing I'll share is just a little bit about what's next for Pyth and Vela. There's several POCs under the works for both of us that we're pushing forward and testing. So there's a lot of cool products that may or may not see the public eye soon. For Vela, we're driving towards a V2. What does that mean, right? We want to increase our liquidity substantially. Liquidity is king when it comes to providing lower fees, when providing new assets, opening up interest. We're continuing to make sure UX is the center of attention as well, just to make sure that traders really feel like it's not DeFi, it's just a trading application. It's a place where you go to make your leverage trades and choose the assets you want to dive into and not worry about all the crazy madness that DeFi brings. We will be looking to pull new assets, new sources of data, new categories, and Pyth is going to be a key partner for that. And so we're really excited about V2. We're excited to work with Pyth on this, and we're really thankful for the opportunity to present here and share our journey. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and actually, one last thing I'll leave you with for all of the builders on the call. Dan mentioned we're working on several POCs with Pyth. They have their own work streams of cool products they're going to be launching in 2024. I encourage all the builders to check out the documentation to build your POCs, start looking at Pyth and building on top of Pyth, because ultimately the more developers we have building in the Pyth ecosystem, the better it is for everyone, right? We'll all share in that decentralized verification of pricing and oracles and so on and so forth. So the more builders in the ecosystem, the better.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers.